Hey Gordon, what's in the box?
I don't know, man, because you're the one doing the video.
Oh,
I'm holding the camera today.
Gordon.
They are not paying me to do this, but, you know, I'm free. It's cheap labor.
Yeah, it's very rare that I am on the other side of the camera, so I guess it makes sense I'll do this because you know what? This is a creator laptop. This is the Gigabyte Aero 16. It's a creator laptop, and hey, I'm a creator, so I guess it makes sense. We're going to open it up. We're going to compare it actually to a laptop, my work laptop, which is also a Gigabyte Aero, but this is the 15. So this is the older. This is about 2 years old. It's got 10th gen in it and a 2070 Super. I've been using this laptop for 2 years. I love it. It is. I would say it is my favorite laptop for video editing and photo editing. And so when we got in this Gigabyte Aero 16, I said, hey, you know what? Let's check it out. So first things first, let's get it out of the box. All right. Ooh, look at this pretty teal color.
Whoa.
Okay.
Like Miami Vice.
So this is going to be a little bit different design than the Aero 15 that I have. Oh, security sealed. It is sealed in everything. I might be the first one to see this one. We'll see.
So it is a 15-inch laptop, though.
16. This is the Aero 16. But you'll see why it's 16, even though it's essentially kind of the same size in a second. It's all white. You know, all these gaming laptops, they don't come in white packaging. And look at that. There's
it does look more elegant, doesn't it?
There's the laptop itself. I'm going to set this aside. I'm going to do the Gordon thing and check out the power brick first because that's going to tell us what kind of power is inside this. And here we go. We got a nice big brick with a barrel charger. This looks to be exactly like the one I have.
280?
230 watts.
Oh, okay.
230 watts. So let's set this box aside. Get to the laptop itself. How do you get it out of the sleeve? Oh, there we go. Nice little sleeve. And there we go. We already see right off the bat, this is different than this style of Gigabyte Aero. This is aluminum, Gordon.
Oh.
This is machined aluminum, CNC unibody design, kind of like the old MacBook, right? We open it up, and there we go. I mean, this really does feel like the old MacBooks. Or I guess they still make them out of aluminum.
So it's 16-inch screen?
So this is 16-inch. This is UHD plus, so 3840 by 2800. Oh, no, 2400.
Okay.
And it is a Samsung panel. Before we get to the screen, let's talk about what's inside. Gordon, it's a 230-watt brick. Can you already guess what's inside this particular model?
3070, 3060 class?
Yeah, so this is a Core, a 12th Gen Core i7 12700H with a NVIDIA GeForce RTX 3070 Ti. So, and the TGP on that part, I believe, is 105. So, a little clock down. This is not meant to be a beefy gaming laptop. This is meant to be a creator laptop. And as you can see, it's part of the GeForce RTX Studio line. And yes, same as this one. But you can already kind of tell the differences between the two. You've got a full. You know, I do use a 10-key keyboard over here, but they forgoed it on this side. You've just got this little extra strip of buttons here. But this one is it's about the same size if you kind of line it up like this, right? It's about the same weight. It kind of has different features compared to the two, but it's actually pretty generally the same. Let's look at this way. Oh yeah, wow, this is literally almost the same exact footprint. This older Gigabyte has kind of this bowing right here, so and the newer 16 is kind of flat. So yeah, it's about the same size chassis. The rest of the specs on the inside, it comes with a DDR5 RAM at 4800 megatransfers a second. I'm not quite sure exactly what's in this model specifically. 2 Gen 4 NVMe SSDs. Oh, and a 99 watt-hour battery. So pretty similar to this one. I upgraded the SSD in this one to fit a second one. But really, the thing that makes this one of my favorite content creation laptops ever is this screen. So I'm going to power it up. Oh no, does it not have juice? Unfortunately, it is shipped to me dead, so I need to plug it in real quick so we can turn it on and talk about it. So I had to take a moment to install Windows 11, but here we are. This is my favorite thing about the old Gigabyte Aero 15. And it should be even better on the Gigabyte Aero 16, and that is the screen. Let me go through some of the specs of the screen. It's a UHD Plus, so 3840 by 2400. It is a Samsung 16 by 10 AMOLED display. Samsung makes awesome displays, obviously, and so this is the first time that they're actually having a taller aspect ratio, so 16 by 10. This old Gigabyte Aero I have was 16 by 9. Most of them came 16 by 9. Now it's 16 by 10. It's the new hotness, right, Gordon?
Yeah, it sounds like it's actually a purpose-built creator laptop because 16.9 was just repurposed gaming screens, right? This is really 1610 AMOLED panel.
Yeah, I should say not high refresh rate, so just 60, and that's fine because this is a creator laptop. It is the one of the great things about it is that it is X-Rite factory calibrated and then Pantone certified. So some laptops have one, some laptops have the other. This laptop has both, so they really check the colors. It has a Delta E less than 1, DCI P3 100% color gamut. They say even in some situations up to 120%. I don't even know how you can go past 100, but that's interesting. Anyway, the screen on this old one has been the thing that I love about this laptop, and one of the reasons why I say it's one of the best content creation laptops. The screen on this one looks pretty damn good too, and now you get the more pixels, so 16 by 10. I love it. So, but the other thing that makes a creator laptop, for me at least, are ports. Before I go over the ports on this laptop, let's go over this one because I do like the port selection on this one. On this side,
let me get focus. Okay.
On the Gigabyte Aero 15, you've got the Ethernet combo headset jack, one Type A mini display port, full-size HDMI. On the other side, the barrel charger, a UHS 2 class SD card reader, a Thunderbolt 3, yes, and then 2 more Type A's. Lots of ports. I never felt like I was needing more ports on this laptop. Unfortunately, it looks like on this one, it's a little different. So you've got the barrel charger. These are not Type A. These are for cooling. You've got the exhaust here. These are just 2 USB-C. Let me get the...
They must be Thunderbolt 3 or 4s.
So, yeah, Thunderbolt 4, one of them, and it says it's the blue one. You know what? Huh. I can't tell. I think it's this back one. It says PD charging up to 100 watts.
Okay.
So one of them PD charging, the other one not. Both Thunderbolt 4. Let's go to the other side. Maybe that's where the other ports are. Nope.
What?
Womp womp. Just another Thunderbolt 4. It does have a headset jack, but you know it's not thin and light. You can fit it. So I will say this is a little too far for me. This is like pulling an apple. I don't like that. I will say, Gordon, come look at me real quick. They do have one special thing up their sleeve. Let me go back into the box. This is right here. This is the Aero hub. It comes included. You got a USB-C 4-in-1 Aero hub to help combat some of these port decisions. Well, Gordon, let me tell you what. I don't know about you, but I'm not a huge fan of hubs or dongles.
What do you get?
Comes in this little carrying case. Oh, it's empty. Oh, that's because it's in here. That's funny. They got me. Oh, you know what? It has one little, looks like an extension. Yep, Type-C extension. In here is the actual hub itself. There we go. So yeah, Gordon, it's got one USB-C on this side, USB-C on this side, and then there we go. Okay, so we've got full-size HDMI, mini display port, one Type A, and Ethernet. The problem is if I plug it in over here, yeah, that's adding. You know, I don't personally like. That is one of the problems that I did have with this laptop is that when I had 2 things plugged into the Type A And then I did use this for eGPU testing. So I had all these plugs populated, even the barrel charger. Like, it was kind of hard sometimes with a mouse because I had so much cabling going on. This is extending it out even more to add these ports, and I only get one Type A.
Interesting.
Yeah, and I just noticed this, like, it's a little wobbly in there. It's not.
Yeah, that seems like it put a little too much stress on the port.
Yeah, I'm not digging it. So I mean, I could put it over here. Unfortunately, it does then block the.
Well, that's what that extension cable is for, right?
Oh, you know what? Maybe, yeah. So, because it blocks. So yeah, I mean, I guess that's the other thing. I could just be like, okay.
It's interesting because Dell's XPS 17 sort of did away with some of the ports too.
Yeah. I just, and the biggest thing, and Gordon, I know you're going to make fun of me for it, but that SD card reader. I use that SD card reader all the time. So,
is there an SD card reader?
There is no SD card reader on this or on the hub. So it's going down from 3 Type A's to 1. Completely takes away the SD card reader. I don't know. I'm sure there's some creators that are fine without it. That is not me. That kind of it rubs me the wrong way. It's a little hard one to accept. I should mention they actually do still sell this form factor. They called it the Gigabyte Aero 5 now, I believe. So you can get the 12th gen and the 30 series in this kind of form factor and still get those ports. But this one is supposed to be more of a price premium. I haven't compared it exactly or taken a pre-briefing with Gigabyte to kind of go through the differences between the two lines. But I will say there is a little bit of a price premium. I looked over at B&H right now because these laptops have been on the market for a number of months now. On B&H, I think I found the exact same configuration here. It was $2,700 as opposed to the Gigabyte Aero 5, which is an updated version of this one, and the same configuration was $2,200. So you're paying $500 for the better chassis. Maybe it's better cooling. I don't know. Even then, that might be a little bit of a stretch for me. At least you get the nice panel because I believe the Gigabyte Aero 5 still maintains that 16:9 aspect ratio. So you are getting some upgrades moving over here, but the ports are hard for me. Let's see, a number of things to go over. As you can see up here, it's got this little kind of extra extension. It does have Windows Hello, which is nice.
And that's all aluminum on the bezel.
Yeah, so it is all aluminum on the bezel. You get Windows Hello in this little cutout. It does. I'm going to close it real quick. It does look like it gives a nice little lip you can kind of hold on to. I will say on the old one, it kind of just had a little cutout here, and it wasn't always the easiest to open. I mean, it's a little thing. Is it $500 little thing? I don't know. You know what? The last spec is Wi-Fi 6E. That is definitely not something I have in here. They do have. I'm not going to open up this laptop because this is an expensive laptop. But they do have a little cutout background or a little image of inside the laptop itself. So you can see the dual channel memory. The Wi-Fi module is replaceable. The 2 SSDs go on the side of the 99 watt-hour battery.
Yeah.
So it is upgradable.
I mean, you could see the argument for, and I know no one likes losing all the ports, but where do you put the ports?
I mean, I don't know. I think you got room for the ports. I don't know. I'm not quite sure, who would want to lose the ports, but yeah, it's a choice. I mean, I guess the other thing, once again, is the performance. This 12700H is definitely going to play better than this Comet Lake 10th gen 10850H, right? Yeah. And then the 3070 Ti is definitely better than the 2070 Super in here. Probably not by a ton. I have done plenty of gaming on this laptop, even though I use it mostly for work. I have gamed on it. It's pretty nice. You can game on this. It's got the internals. That's a great thing about creator stuff, is that it's usually a lot of the same internals that you share with gaming stuff, which is nice. So, Yeah, I will say that I am not the benchmark master. Gordon is. So, Gordon, I think I'm going to take the camera away from you now and ask you to please benchmark this for me and see just how that the internals compare in this laptop to my old standby, and just kind of see what kind of upgrade it is. So we'll be right back with that. All right, after some time, we are back. Gordon, you ran some benchmarks on both the Gigabyte Aero 15 and the Gigabyte Aero 16 that we have here. You also compiled that into some charts with some other laptops that you have scores for. So tell me, how much faster is the 16 versus my old 15?
Well, the bad news is it's a lot faster. I mean, it simply embarrasses your current daily driver for portable video editing and photo editing. This Aero 16 laughs at
Okay.
off the field.
Okay. Well, how bad then? Where do you want to start?
Well, let's kick it off in Cinebench. It's basically a 3D rendering benchmark. It uses all the cores, all the threads of the CPU in these laptops. It's a good indicator of doing 3D modeling, CPU-based encoding, and other tasks that would use every single cores. Your current, I'm going to remind people, your current Aero 15 OLED is a Core i7 10875H. That is an 8-core Comet Lake 14 nanometer CPU. It's 10th gen, which doesn't sound like it's that old. In reality, it's actually really, really old. Your score on that one is about 3298. The Aero 16 OLED with its 14-core Core i7 12700H is 6304. That's
almost double.
yeah, that's 91% higher performance out of the Aero 16 than your current Comet Lake-based laptop.
Ooh.
So that basically means if you're doing 3D modeling and there's some things in After Effects, there's actually some actions that are in like Photoshop that will use all the cores. Most of them not, but and that means you would probably get 90% more performance out of the new Aero 16 over your Aero 15. So yeah, okay. That's not good.
What about single-threaded though?
Single-threaded is a little closer. It's still not great. Your Aero 15 OLED with its 10875H, is it 875H?
10875H.
10875H is about 472. The Aero 16 single core performance is 699, which is quite a bit faster. That's still 30%, 27 to 30% higher performance. That basically means generally probably faster in browsing, faster in most Photoshop stuff, just sort of overall a general feel for that snappy feel that you're going to get. Higher single-threaded performance is generally what sort of drives your everyday kind of feel.
Yeah, well, and actually I'm surprised that this Gigabyte Aero 16 is hanging up there with G76 Raider, which is, you know, kind of the top-end HK part with a lot more cooling. That's pretty good. I mean, it is only a single core, but
yeah,
still.
that's the reason why it can hang with the Core i9 in a very much larger, better cooled laptop, because single core isn't as much thermal load on the laptop, so it's really a measurement of that laptop's performance on one core, obviously, and even if it's in a bigger laptop, you're not going to get double the performance by giving it more cooling, but you're still getting quite a bit more cooling out of that.
Well, that's
i9.
almost like why we're kind of seeing like a group of the 12th gen, group of 11th gen, and we got some Ryzen in there.
Yeah.
And then down here at the bottom we got 10th gen.
Yep.
So
you basically see that there. And 11th gen actually is pretty decent too. Is you can see 11th gen in some of these, especially very thin and light laptops, in single core performance is very close to Alder Lake. So that's close. 10th gen though, not even in the ballpark. 10th gen is still usable, but it is definitely the worst of the three Intel parts here. So.
All right. What's next then?
Next is something actually very practical. This is PugetBench version 93.3. It's made by a workstation maker, Puget Systems. They make awesome stuff. Go check out their blog too, especially for workstation oriented testing. This is the Photoshop test. They basically take Photoshop and they run it through a whole bunch of tests and they spit out scores for filter performance, general performance. There's an overall and GPU performance.
Okay. And the Gigabyte Aero 15 is the lowest number.
Yeah, it is. It is indeed definitely slower than the Aero 16. Remember earlier we said Cinebench is like about 30%, 27 to 30% higher single-threaded performance. Well, look at this. Photoshop, it's about 28% faster than that. Because, I mean, it just, most of what you're doing in Photoshop is single-threaded, very lightly threaded, and you sort of see it kind of track where 30% faster for the Aero 16 with 12th gen over Aero 15 with 10th gen. In Puget's Photoshop test, about 20, 27%, 28% faster too.
Well, and how much do you think of this relies on the GPU as well? Because I'm surprised that Titan at the very top is lower than the Aero 16.
Yeah, remember that is, so that was a 3070 Ti. It's 150 watt TGP. There's all kinds of things. Also, the Titan, I do want to point out that is a pre-production unit too. So, but you know, I suspect that final unit might end up being a little faster. Much of this also could be drivers too. I'm actually surprised by some of the variability in scores we're seeing here.
Which these do have the GeForce Studio drivers. I should have mentioned that. I don't know if that makes a difference or not. Because the rest of them are game ready.
Yeah, the game ready drivers, you would think the Studio drivers would be faster, but
maybe a thought. Yeah, maybe. It
might be. I mean, surprise here is look at that ROG Zephyrus G14, very light, 3.6 pound laptop. The GPU performance is actually among the best here. In fact, it's the best here. There probably are better scores somewhere else, but that's a really solid score for the Ryzen laptop.
Yeah.
So we're looking at some of the deeper scores between the Aero 15 and the Aero 16. It's pretty hefty for the filter score, about 30% in favor of the 12th gen over the 10th gen. For the general score, looks like a decent 40% increase from the Aero 15 to the Aero 16. For GPU, 2070 Max-Q versus 3070, actually pretty close, about 7%. And again, there's only a few things that they are doing. There's only a couple different filters that they're testing for GPU performance, so not a lot, but still, overall, you're looking at about 28%, more performance from the Aero 16 over your old, tired Aero 15.
All right. Well, what about video editing?
Yeah. So the next thing is PugetBench again, but we're going to run Premiere Pro 22.1.2. The same thing. You take Premiere, you run it through a bunch of tasks, you grade it on its performance. Overall, it is in general, Premiere is going to use more cores than Photoshop. And we see now you're looking at maybe 47% more performance from the Aero 16 with the 12th gen with 14 cores versus the Aero 15 with the 10th gen and 8 cores. So quite a big difference in CPU performance overall. And if we want to break down some of the sub-scores in GPU, it's about 16% favoring the 3070 and the Aero 16. If we're looking at the effects score, looks like about 40% for the Aero 16, and for the live playback score, it's a whopping 55% for the Aero 16 over the Aero 15. And then finally the export score. Export is generally where you're going to hit either the GPU or the CPU a lot, and you're looking at about a 35% performance increase.
And I'll say I don't necessarily know the details of how they get to each of these scores, but the one that I'm actually most impressed with is the playback score, because if there's something that I've noticed, especially when you're doing a lot of editing, if I'm editing a 10-minute video, and sure, maybe the encode is, like 20 minutes or something like that, I still edited it for, who knows, 2 to 4 hours, right? So most of my time is in that live playback performance. And so to see that number that much higher, I think that's where I would see it more than being like, oh, sweet, it encoded quicker.
Yeah, and I do want to point out, if you look at the scores here, The best score we're seeing is actually from the MSI GE76 Raider. It's a very big, it's a very heavy compared to this Aero 16 laptop. It has also an Alder Lake 14-core 12th gen in it. It is a Core i9. It has a fatter GPU, but it has quite a bit higher performance in live playback, and I believe a lot of that may come from the fact that that laptop has DDR5. I've seen that on desktop where DDR5 in live playback in PugetBench and live playback score benefits from it. More bandwidth probably for the integrated graphics. So the live playback maybe leans on QuickSync, which may be my theory. I haven't sat down and figured it out yet, but my theory is the live playback score really does lean on the QuickSync performance. And I really think DDR5 helps the other Alder Lake laptops. This laptop, interestingly, they decided to use DDR4. So DDR4 3200 versus, say, DDR5 4800. So quite a bit more memory bandwidth for those other laptops. So you asked about how these scores in PugetBench works. Basically, PugetBench creates these scripts to run Premiere and Photoshop, and they set a baseline. The baseline we just went over Premiere, so I'll tell you what the baseline there. So a Ryzen 5900X, that's 12 cores, Ryzen 9 5900X, with an RTX 3080 in it, 64 gigs of RAM, and a Samsung 960 Pro. That system scores 100.
Oh, that's their baseline.
So that is the baseline. So your score of your current, say, 42 for your effect score, for your Aero 15, it's about 42% of the score that a 5900X with a 3080 would get.
Interesting. Oh, okay.
And then also for Photoshop, because a lot of people are very interested, like, well, what does that mean there? Same thing. Their reference one score is, so a score of 1000 and the subscores of 100 would be a Core i9 9900K, that's 8 cores, 9th gen, with an RTX 2080 and 64 gigs of RAM.
Huh.
So your score, again, let's look at your Photoshop score. So your Photoshop score of your Aero 15 of 685, so that's about right?
Of a 9900K?
A 9900K would be 1000.
Wow.
So you're about a third of the performance off of a 9900K.
Desktop 9900K.
Desktop. But you're looking at like that GE76 Raider at 1200. That's basically above the score of a desktop system. Premiere, of course, is the interesting thing. Same thing. 1000 is your baseline for a Ryzen 9 5900X. And you're getting pretty close. Look, this Aero 16 is 838, and you would be getting 1000 for a Ryzen 9. That's pretty.
Okay, that's
pretty. That's
surprisingly
pretty
not too bad. Yeah,
that's really right. You're getting full-on near desktop performance according to PugetBench, and of course the GE76 Raider with the Core i7 is about dead even with a 12-core Ryzen desktop part and a 3080, and with the hotter GPU. Clearly, you can see the bias of having a hotter GPU because that GE76 Raider with an i9 is the tops here. But just so you know, for reference, we do have one more benchmark. I don't think it applies at all.
Well,
I don't think it applies at all.
Maybe I do some gaming on the laptop, so
yeah, I guess. I think to me this is the wrong tool for gaming.
I think it's more like 80-20, right?
80-20.
Yeah.
So
80% work, 20% game.
Yeah, okay.
Nothing wrong with that.
I get that. I get it. Your Aero 15, your Time Spy overall score is about 6,734.
Okay.
The 3070 in this Aero 16 is 9630. Pretty decent score, actually.
Okay.
Pretty good score.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's right up there with that 3080 at 100 watts.
Yeah.
TGP. So
that just goes to show you some tests. They may not stress the video card where a 3070 can actually be as fast or close enough to where it doesn't really matter as a 3080. Yeah. So it depends on the game, depends on the load. 3D Mark Time Spy is not the perfect tool. It's not what you might see in a practical game, but it gets you a very good feel for where these laptops will fit.
At least an understanding.
And again, this would be it would play games just fine.
right, so I have one more benchmark, and this laptop has a score of 1, 2, 3, 4. And this lap has a score of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 versus 4. That's
in what?
In ports. This is double the amount of ports than this one. This is kind of one. You know, we've actually been away from doing this second part of the video for a couple weeks, so I've had time to marinate on it. And the ports, like I understand maybe why they kind of came out with this Aero 16 line, but the ports, man, that's hard for me. I think that might be hard for me to kind of grasp, and especially the little dongle doesn't get me there either. So yeah, bigger bar better on the older one for the ports.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I can see that being very annoying. The thing that really gets me too about the ports thing is, I guess I would want one Type A. Like for me, a Type A is a bummer, but you know, I know we let Apple, we let Dell get away with it, so I guess I can accept it. But what I'm still unhappy about is not getting Ethernet. To me, it's just a bummer.
It isn't on the dongle.
It's not on the dongle.
No, it is on the dongle.
Oh, it is on the dongle. Okay, well that's good.
But still, yeah.
Because Dell does not give you a dongle on the XPS 17.
Yeah, and for me, it's the SD card reader, which is not on the dongle.
And there's no,
right?
there's an SD card reader on here, isn't there?
No, it's not on the laptop itself, and it's not on the dongle.
Yeah, so like to me, not having a card reader, not having Ethernet is just kind of like a bummer. I do like that you get at least Ethernet, because Dell does not give you the Ethernet. They basically give you HDMI, they give you a Type A, and that's it. So that's better. But honestly, I think the companies need to look at, like, you know what? Apple ditched ports and everybody let them do it, and then now they've gone back to ports, which is when it tells you that even Apple is putting ports back on its big laptops for content creators, maybe content creation laptops should not walk away from ports.
I will mention too that this is kind of a new line where they still have this old body style with the ports, with the newer 12th gen and 30 series. So I think, you know, if I were to upgrade, I'm probably looking more towards that body style.
For the ports?
Yeah, for the ports. I tell you what, I mean, if most things are equal, right? So I think what you get out of this is the chassis, the design, you know, and probably you actually, it might be better cooling. I don't know. We don't have the other new one to test against, but...
Right. Well, what about to me, like, what's kind of attractive is that 16:10 aspect ratio. Because your other one's 4K, but it's 4K 16:9.
Yes.
You don't think 16:10 is worth it for you as a video person? Because, I mean, you are a video and Photoshop person, so this laptop is like
ports,
kind of made for you.
That'd be hard, right? It's a toss-up. It's a toss-up. Yeah.
That's why
that actually would be pretty nice. That would be pretty nice.
I mean, that's why, like, I can always just carry a dongle with all that stuff with me. And I get it. I wish it were on there, but I can't just carry. I mean, I can, but that, like, do I really want to carry a monitor? I just like having a taller screen.
Yeah. No, actually, you got a good point there. It has it there, and I'm sure the screen itself is of higher quality. I haven't dug into, like, you know, testing it side by side at home, because I mean, the benchmarks are one thing, and something we always say is that, hey, how is it going to translate to actual real world use? I want to actually use it. I actually want to load up the same project on both laptops. You know, one that I cut myself, you know, and kind of see how things work there, rather than just, you know, relying on PugetBench's system. So yeah, I will report back on, you know, on my findings and what I think about using this laptop. But I mean, either way, for me, another thing I think about looking at the scores is, sure, even though that Raider or the Titan or some of these other laptops blow the 16 out of the water in a lot of these benchmarks, that doesn't matter to me, because they don't have the nice screen. The screen is the biggest thing for me when I think about a content creation laptop, me personally. So, like, yeah, even raw performance, I'm okay to sacrifice on raw performance if I have the screen, if I have some of those features, if I have ports. But actually, some of the gaming laptops have a lot of ports too. So, yeah, it's a mix, right? That's the thing. On the desktop side, we can kind of, you know, tailor make the way we want it. But on the laptop side, it's one whole thing. You can't really change. So you got to give and take a little bit. But
yeah, I could honestly see wanting screen first. You know, especially because if you're really going to be doing work on there, you want as big a panel as possible. And 16-inch, I think the thing is, a lot of people think a 16-inch screen sounds like it's not that much bigger than a 15.6, right? Because like, oh, that's not a lot, 15.6 inch versus 16 inch.
Yeah.
But it's actually quite a bit more, because remember that taller aspect ratio doesn't mean it's just, 0.6 inches longer, but it's actually quite a bit more screen real estate you're getting.
True. Yeah. No. Interesting stuff. I've always been on the search for my favorite video production laptop, content creation laptop. So yeah, I'm excited to kind of dig into this further. Thank you for doing the benchmarking for me, because I'm not the benchmarking expert. That's your job. So I appreciate it. Thanks everybody for watching. And if you want to, check back in, see what my thoughts are after I've had some time with this, be sure to subscribe here on PCWorld for more PC hardware and software goodness. We'll see you later.